guys, so the first thing we're going to do, and this is a good project for basic layout, when you're laying out a project, this project, and making the rack. If you have not seen that video, you can go check that out, where we make like a hat rack or a key rack, coat rack. You can make it as big as you want. But the first thing we're going to do is line up our measure, and we're going to mark at the 1 foot mark, at the 24 inch, and at the 36 inch. So this will be a 1 foot triangle. Now I have 5 inches here. I probably won't use it all to make the hanging portion. You don't have to do this. You can just have it to where it is stops here. You do 2 finials on the end just to give it some character, and hang it from a piece of leather. Those look great. So I like the little hanging portions because then you can make a hang on the wall shepherd's hook, and these hang on those really well and sound good. And with craft season coming up, guys, it's the main reason why we're doing this video. So let's grab our punch. We're going to get our center punch. Now all these are going to be on the inside where these bends are going to be. So I'm going to do my center punch. I'm going to forge out both ends where I want my handle to be, or my hanging portion to be, my finial on this side, and then we're going to do our bends. Now, you're going to need another 1 foot piece of material. So it's 4 foot, 5.5 inches total is what you're going to be using for this project, because you need a 1 foot piece to be your ringer. Okay, I'm recording. All right, so about my 1 foot mark. Don't need that anymore. Got my center punch. Go about my 2 foot mark. And again, these are going to be on the inside, guys. So you're never going to see them. And then I'm going to do my 3 foot mark. All right. So let's get this in the fire. Start getting some metal hot. First thing we're going to do is draw out this end to make our hanger. Alright guys, the whole time I'm going to be forging this, my center marks that I have right here, I'm going to keep facing up every time I go in the forge. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start forging out my leaf that's going to be on the end of this. Then I'm going to draw this out into a pretty thick vine. Alright, so my basic shape for my leaf, and I'm going to do a little bit longer leaf this time. I'm actually going to come all the way back to here, right there in that spot, and make a longer, wider leaf, or a longer, thinner leaf. Words are hard again, apparently. Alright guys, so we go over, hammer, rotate it, hammer, rotate it, hammer, creating that lip right here, guys. Got to film that first section, but it's just a basic leaf, just a little bit bigger than what we did in the video. If you haven't watched that video, go back and check that out. Now, right here is where my first bend is going to be. Sorry, my last bend is going to be. And this is where we're going to shape out exactly how we're going to have the hanger be. So I'm going to forge everything down from this point into a stem or a vine. So I'm going to not show that whole process. I'll probably speed it up, but that's what I'm doing here, guys. Is I'm just going to forge this down into a thick vine. Be a little bit thinner up here, but it's going to be taper down into a thick vine right through here. Alright guys, so you can see that I've left texture to the bar. I didn't make it perfectly round. I'm going to round this out a little bit more where I've got some flats. And then we're going to start drawing out our leaf. I don't want it super wide. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. It's going to be not that big, guys. It's just hot. I didn't want to touch it because I'm bad about accidentally touching my metal. But I'm going to make it a little bit wider and longer so it'll wrap around. So it'll be a vine that wraps down and wraps around, and the leaf will kind of wrap around too. So I'm going to continue to round this out. Take out some of the higher spots just to make it look more uniform, but it's going to be more textured, as I was saying. Alright, leaves right here. As I showed in past videos, guys, start knocking that top part of the bud down this direction first, not straight down. It's just going to make it to where you don't get a cold shut in that area. Still have plenty of material to work with. So I'm going to put it back in the fire, heat it up, and start making it longer. I also have the ringer in the forge, guys, so we're going to start forging our leaf on the end of it too, and drawing that out to make where it'll hang. All I'm doing is stretching this metal out, give this a little bit more length. Now guys, pay attention to where you cut your lines and everything in on your leaf. You can always twist it if you need to, but when you go to wrap this, if you put all your lines here and you flip it the wrong way, everything's going to be on the bottom and you'll get it fixed up before you realize what's going on. Then you're going to have to use a little cutoff wheel to try to cut those lines in, which might look cool, but save yourself some headache. I'm going to use my texturing tool in this one, but you can use a chisel if you want to. Got my veins and everything. I like that skeleton look in these. I don't know. I just think it looks cool. All right, so I'm going to bend this around, but I'm not going to twist it up yet because I want to get all of my other bends and everything done. But all right, guys, I'm about to bring the dinger part. I don't know what its technical name is. I've just always called it the dinger. Bringing it out so we can start forging the leaf on that end and drawing that stem out while the other piece cools down. I don't want to quench it in water until I'm ready to. I want it to take its time, cool down, and since I've got to do the dinger part, I don't want to take a chance of putting a hard spot in it in the actual dinner bell. So we're going to work on the dinger for a minute. Same concept, guys, just gonna run the leaf out, gonna draw it out into a stem. But this one, I'm not gonna close up so it can hang on the dinner belt. So I'm gonna go over, straight down, remember? Slightly curve, hammer back, no half on, half off blows there. Back to half on, half off, rotate it, start knocking down those corners. Square everything back up so you can draw your stem out. Okay? Everything squared up, guys. So draw this out. I'm not going to go super thin on this stem because it is going to be more of a handle. So I drew this out to about where I want it to be. Just kind of rounding it up a little bit. I'm going to heat this whole piece up, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to knock these sharp corners off, because you'll be holding it. Just give it something a little more comfortable to hang on to. All right, guys, so when you're doing your leaf, and I've showed this in past videos, if you hammer straight down, there's a chance you'll get a cold shut right here in this area and it'll break. So what I've learned is you start hammering back, and what you're doing is pushing that material down and away. So whenever you go to start drawing this material out, it makes a smooth transition, and you're less likely to get a cold shut right there in that area. And you can see that tiny little dent right there. That'll be hammered out. But if I didn't do what I did, because the way the material overhung a little bit, it could have caused a cold shut in that spot, and there would be potential for cracking. All right, guys, so we're working on the other end of the dinner belt now. All I'm doing is drawing out to where my finial is going to be on this side. You can leave them both sides plain, like I said. I like putting the finials on it because it looks like you done some forging on the metal, so it doesn't just look crisp and clean all the way down. Now, I'm making sure all the sides are squared, because when I go to roll this, I don't want to roll it on a corner. I'm going to roll it on the flat so it looks cleaner. And I'm not going to round it up. This is one of the few times I don't round up my finials. Just making sure everything is good and square and has a good taper. So, I'm going to take, because my spot for my bend is right here. That's where my mark is. I want it up, so whenever my finial is there, when I roll my finial over, when I bend it, it will be on the outside. Trying to bend on me, so I'm gonna flatten it up. Okay. Just making a standard finial. Hit it back up because it's trying to guide back over the horn, because I want, or back over the anvil, because I want it to have a little bit of a curve to it. All right, there's our finial. Now, when I go back into the forge, where that dot is, where that dot is, see what I did there? I wasn't paying attention, so I'm gonna open it back up and bend it the other way. Actually, I'm not, guys. I was debating if I wanted to put a twist in this or not. I'm gonna put a twist in this material also. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have us a design change. So I'm gonna come out of the forge, go over and put a twist in it real quick. I'm not gonna show that because we've done twisting. There we go. Always pay attention, guys. But if it doesn't work out, do a design change. Is it just me, or is there something oddly satisfying about dusting off forge scale on a twist that looks just really cool? Let me get that centered. Everything's lined up. All right, guys, when we come back out, we're gonna be over here and we're gonna be bending at this spot. All right, guys, let's get this lined up on our dot. It's gonna be right at it. That's where our bend's gonna be at. I'm gonna try to get it basically in half. Then we're gonna bend straight down. And I'm gonna hit with my hammer because I want that bend to be kind of sharp right there in that spot. Okay, so right now we got a nail. Now we'll tweak anything we need to tweak because I see that that twist has a slight bend in it. We'll tap that out once we get everything. We'll tap that out here in just a second. All right, so we're about right at our bend. We'll do the next one. We're gonna come out. We're going to do the same thing and bend it straight down. And then up here, we'll finish out our hanger. All right, guys, because of the style of my forge, I don't have enough room. I bend right here. I don't have, sorry guys, multitasking. Because of the style of my forge, I don't have enough room to do a full put this whole piece in there like I wanted to, so perfect right there. Looks good. Gotta move the camera back, guys. So right there's our basic shape of our dinner bell. Now I'm going to bend this piece around and twist it up a little bit, and then we got to do a little bit of straightening, and that happens from time to time, and a lot of that you can do cold, but that's your basic shape for your dinner bell right there, guys. All right, guys, so I'm gonna bend this back some, raise it up a little bit. Apparently I set it down in there too far. There we go. Get my torch. Start heating up this joint right here. If you don't have a MAPP gas torch, guys, or oxygen acetylene style torch, oxygen propane, that is a great investment. MAPP gas does okay, but it takes a little bit longer for everything to heat up. Especially on thicker steel. Yeah, I lost my heat too much. If you already have your metal good and hot, then you can hop right in here and start knocking stuff out. But if it cools down on you, especially on a day like today when it's like 50 degrees, it takes too long for it to heat up. So let me throw this back in the forge, guys. I'll get everything set up. Alright guys, so you want to be careful at certain joints, like right here on your stem of your leaf. That section will break really, really easy. Alright guys, I'm going to go back in the forge and I'm going to start heating up the leaf in this top section and get it twisted up just a little bit more. I want that leaf to go down just a little bit more. I'll use anything as a hammer, guys. How many of y'all do that? Whatever tool's in your hand is the hammer you use at the time. Alright guys, I'm going to grab the leaf, going to start wrapping. Keep this up here twisted up. Leave it like that, guys. I kind of like that. I'm gonna bend this tip back just so nobody will get stuck on it a little bit, but I think leaving it opened up a little bit looks good. Gives it more of a 3D effect. I like that. All I'm doing right now, guys, is just getting my leaf textured up. Just that right there. Rounding everything out. Now I'm going to bend the leaf over and wrap it up similar to what we did to the dinner bell. Guys, I'm going to make a big loop here. All right, let me grab my tongs I left over there, and I'm going to kind of squeeze it around the edge right there. But I'm going to leave it open a little bit. I'm liking this design that we've done so far. That hammer technique right there, guys. that, just simple. I'm gonna clean up this end with the sander just to round it off so there's no sharp edges. Y'all wanna put a twist in it? How about we put a twist in it? That sounds like fun. Let me flip it around and heat it up. I'm gonna pull off the handle and that part's done. I don't know why, there's just something oddly satisfying about putting a twist in something. And since we have the twist on the other side, it'll match on the dinger, or on the dinger. Woo! Words are hard today, guys. Since we already have a twist on one side of the dinner bell, we'll throw a twist in this right here too. Playing around with techniques today, guys, that's what we're doing. Alright guys, put this twist in here. Go one full rotation. Get everything lined back up. Got to straighten it, so I'll grab my brush, whatever I did with it. We'll use the vise, it'll be alright. You can see there's a bend right there. What I'm gonna do is clamp it in here. Check my lines. Yeah, my lines are good. Okay guys, so let's see what our dinner bell sounds like. As you can tell, there's no real ring to it. The reason why is I let it set over and cool down. You will need to heat this up and quench it. Now be careful. When you go to quench this, sometimes your corners will open up a little bit because there's stress on them. So I recommend holding it with 2 pairs of tongs and hold it tight. So when you go in the water, it doesn't try to open up too much. So I'm gonna drop down the gate on my forge, and then we're gonna get the back half of this heated up so we can quench it. All right guys, going straight into the water. Sometimes this will bend on you a little bit, guys. Everything cooled down. All right, now I'm gonna grab the dinger and bring it out. Alright guys, we've been clean. Alright guys, so let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned today. Well, technically it's been a few days because I had some technical difficulties with my camera and I went out of town for a few days. So let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned the other day. What the heck is that? Okay. Anyways. So we made our dinner bell. Now the dinner bell is a really good project for a beginner on laying out a basic design. As you've seen in the video, we laid out our measure, we marked our points, and then we bent those points. And then we drew out and made however we were going to hang it. Now, if you make this more symmetrical, you can hang it from a corner, and they sound really well if you're not holding it with your finger. One way that I do hang these is with a leather thong. A piece of leather, a piece of string, anything will make it sound a lot better because the vibrations can go all the way around. If you're holding it with your finger, they don't sound as well, as you can hear. Now, when I make my dinner bells, I personally like trying my best to make different tones come out of the dinner bell. I don't like it just being one note like some of them are. It doesn't matter. It's really a personal preference. but I've always tried to play around with it to make it make different sounds. So one side might be like a little duller where the other side's a little bit higher pitch, and I just think that's kind of neat. It's my personal preference. You don't have to do that. Now, material. I have only ever made these out of 3/8 or 1/2 inch. I've never really went below that, and I've never really went above that. Never seen the point. I don't think 1/4 inch or anything like 3/16 or whatever. I think it's 3/16. Anyways, 1/4 inch or anything around that would sound real well because of the size of it. I don't think it will ring like it needs to, especially being mild steel. And above that, it felt like it was just more work for nothing. It wasn't going to sound any better. It wasn't really going to look any better. Now, if somebody wants one and they want it to be bigger than 1/2 inch, I'll be more than happy to make it for them. It's just, it doesn't, base the cost versus working and all that, it just seemed kind of pointless for me. If y'all have ever made one out of anything bigger than 1/2 inch material, let me know. Be interesting to know how that sounded. But speaking on the sound again, I personally, like I said, I like mine to try to make a few little different tones, so it just doesn't sound like one note. Remember, when you're heating it up, pay attention to where your heat is. You can heat the whole thing up, you can quench the whole thing. Just watch out, because sometimes where it's separated will either pull together or pull apart too much, and then you've got to reheat it to fix it. I generally, when I quench, will hold the material with 2 sets of tongs, and then as it heats up, I keep everything tight, or as it cools down, I'm sorry, I try to pull everything tight together and hold it tight so it doesn't spread apart on me. You can also dull these down in their sound. When my grandmother was alive, she wanted me to make one, but she didn't want it to have that high-pitched ring. It hurt her ears. So I dulled hers down to where it was like that sound. And side story on it, every time she used to hear me out blacksmithing, she would come out and ring her dinner bell. And you could still hear it, it just didn't have that crisp ring. She kind of liked that clang sound, but like I said, because it didn't hurt her ears or anything. But you can dull them down. Just after you're done forging, just set them over to the side and let them cool down. Don't quench them at all. Your dinger, you can harden. I have never, it doesn't matter, because the ring comes from here. I hardened this one, and I've left them soft, and it doesn't change anything. I just quenched it because I was done with it, and I quenched it. And when I say harden, guys, this is mild steel. It is not going to harden like a knife steel, like 5160 or 1095 will harden up. This will get a slight hardness to it, and that's as much as you'll ever get out of it. Now, project-wise, if you have a vise whenever you set up at a festival or fair, these are really neat and quick projects you can do as a demo item, and people see the dinner bell being made. It's another one of those items that people get a kick out of it. You make it, you set it on the table, and odds are you'll sell it to somebody that's standing there watching you make it. Price-wise, it all depends on what you do. We sold some pretty basic ones this past weekend for, I think, like $30, $35 a piece. You can sell them anywhere from $20 and up. It's really whatever you want to price it as, but roughly I wouldn't go below 20 bucks on them. And that is a very basic one that doesn't have any real forge work to it, and probably you used a jig to forge it out. You heat it up with a torch, you bend it around and throw it to the ground. I sometimes make these a little bit smaller, maybe about that tall. Bring it around here so you can see it a little better. About this tall, all the way around. I try to keep it as symmetrical as I can, unless I put a hanger on it. But about this big, you know, probably a third off of what I normally do. And then just keep them very basic. The ringer is just very basic. It has maybe a hook end on it where it can be hung onto it, similar to how this is, or it's not closed up and you just hook it. Our next video, we're going to be doing a hanging shepherd style hook. that this will hang on, and it'll mount to the wall. And if you sell those as a set, a lot of people really get a kick out of it because everything's there to hang it with. Trying to think if I missed anything, guys. I think that's everything. If you have any questions, by all means, pop them in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I'm really trying to hit 1,000 followers by next year, about mid-year. I'm at a little over 600 followers right now, and I appreciate every bit of it. But don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you on the next one. God bless. Keep hammering.